In this lesson, we're going to continue discussing character formatting. If you'd like to follow along, go under your File menu to Open. And in the Working Files folder, chapter number 6, choose Hidden Options for Character Formatting and just click Open. There's a lot of goodies hidden under the Options menu of the Character panel. Let me show you. The first thing is Hide Options. If your character panel ever looks like this and half of your options are missing, go under your Options menu and choose Show Options, and the rest of the panel will magically reappear. Some of the options under the Options menu we'll discuss in an upcoming lesson, like for instance, the Open Type features. Also, some of the features that you can apply under the Options menu, like for instance, all caps, small caps, superscript, subscript, underline, and strike through, you can more easily apply them in the control panel if you have your character formatting controls enabled by clicking on the A to the left. Why don't we start by selecting this first line? And you'll remember in an earlier lesson, I talked about what I call the big T features. The first of these features looks like two large caps. If I click on that, it's changing the formatting of my type to all caps, but it is formatting. If I click on that again, it's no longer all caps. If I select the next line, immediately under my caps is small caps. It's going to apply small caps, except to the letters that were capital letters to begin with. Those are still going to be the larger caps. If I ever want to take a register mark or a trademark and make it smaller, I could click on Superscript, which shows a big T with a little 1 next to it, and it makes the register mark smaller. Let me do the same thing with the trademark. If I'm working on a mathematical formula and I have pi squared, I'm going to want to make that 2 superscript. So I'm going to select the 2 and click Superscript. If I'm working on a document that has chemical formulas and I wanted this to be H2O, I would have to make the 2 smaller. So I'm going to click on Subscript immediately under Superscript, and it makes the 2 smaller and lowers it beneath the baseline. If I wanted to raise it back up, I could use Baseline Shift and click 3 or 4 times so that half of the 2 is above the baseline and half of it is below. Another option under the Options menu, Underline, you can also go to your control panel and simply click on the Underline button. There's also something called strike-throughs. If I select the word strike-through and click on the strike-through button, it applies a strike-through. There are certain combination characters that are known as ligatures. The common ones are FF, FFI, FFL, and FI. And you can see that the I does not have a dot over it. Neither does the I here. These are combination characters that happen automatically when you start typing in InDesign. And they solve some long-standing problems with certain combinations of letters. The spacing between two Fs or an FFI, an FFL, or an FI is not very good. So those letters are automatically substituted by ligatures. Now, some people do not like ligatures. How do you turn them off? Well, let me select all of my ligatures here in this first line, and go under my Options menu and simply uncheck ligatures. And you can see the spacing is not all that good. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. The spacing is not all that good, but now the letters are not joined together. Let me go back under the Options menu and recheck ligatures. Well, that's a lot better. I mean, you can see it's actually using the ball of the F as the dot on the I. Looks a lot better. Let me just scroll over a bit. Some OpenType typefaces have other combination characters. So sometimes you'll have a capital T with an H next to it, or an FJ combination, or an FFJ combination. And you can see that the J does not have a dot above it. It too is using the ball of the F as the dot to allow better spacing. Let me just zoom out by hitting Command- or Control- until I can see between my margins. And I'm going to scroll a little bit further down. There are certain times that you have words that you don't want to break apart. Either you don't want a series of hyphenated words to break apart, or possibly a proper name. So if I select my name, Jeff Witchell, and go under my Options menu to something called No Break, it will never break Jeff and Witchell apart. Now, this is better than other options, which we're going to talk about later when we talk about non-breaking spaces or non-breaking hyphens. In the next lesson, we're going to continue discussing type formatting.